looks like we're live. I don't think we got a countdown this time.
It was quick. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like go, wake up.
Hey, brother, it's good to see you. It's Riffin' While Black. Here it is.
What's up?
Dr. Gizzy Prince and my friend Dr. Jane. Damn.
You had it. You had it. You
Almost
had
there,
it.
right? Dr. Lawrence James. How you doing, my brother?
I'm very good. I'm gonna change my name. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna become James Lawrence.
This is James.
I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works for me though.
No, keep it the
Hi,
way
I'm
it is,
James
bro.
Lawrence. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same.
We're all here practicing. Let's not mess it up. Well, hey, we got a good series of topics to talk about today. One of the things that we wanted to do is return to the thing we didn't get to touch on last week. Was Oprah was discussing how mean people seem to be behaving towards others. So we're going to touch on that. Something I thought would be fun to do is do the top 5 conspiracy theories. I'm going to test my friend's experience around conspiracy theories, see what he thinks the top 5 may be. And then we're going to do talk about a video.
It's going to be miserably.
Zero. I mean, but no, let's be clear. I know you've heard of many conspiracy theories. The question is, what are the top 5? And then we're going to talk about good guys. This is a video we saw talk about good guys who don't want to be considered bad guys. And then lastly, we're going to do our side eye. And this has everything to do with that fiasco around the reflecting pool. The nonsense that's related to that. We're talking some serious side eye. But I do want to. I was telling my man here about my new shirt I've been putting out. Trust is the technology. It's a new series we're putting together just to kind of promote this idea that trust is something that's actually really valuable.
Yeah.
Technology connects people. Trust connects. Technology connects devices, but trust connects people. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. But with that said, which one do you want to do? You want to go straight to Oprah, or do you want to do top 5, or what do you want to do?
Let's do top 5 so I can embarrass myself early and then make a comeback.
All right. Well, before we get to the top 5, I want to do our djembe card for today. And our djembe card says, my religious and or spiritual practices growing up were blank. Religious or spiritual practice growing up were blank. You want to go first?
I'm laughing. To my poor mother, 86-year-old mother's chagrin. Boy, why did I spend all that money on a Catholic education and you don't even go to church? So, yeah, it's so sad. I was raised Catholic. Went to Catholic kindergarten. Shout out St. Francis Xavier, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Red stick in the house. It didn't really stick though.
He says red stick didn't stick.
Red stick didn't stick, nor did Catholic religion. So I'm like, Although I will say my favorite religious theology is liberation theology, which does come out of, I think, the Jesuits in Colombia, maybe in the early to mid 80s. When they was killing all them people, or maybe it was the Peruvians. I can't remember which one of those South American dictatorships killing people. And it was really about taking the religion and really caring about the poor. I think that's why it resonated, because it was like, let us take care of the least of our brothers. And I thought that was a great doctrine. So yeah, the rest of it didn't really stick too much, but
Well, I may have shared with you before. I grew up in 2 traditions: the Black Baptist tradition and the AME, African Methodist Episcopal. And I'm currently a CME. I go to church on Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter.
You're doing better than me.
Hey, it's still more than a lot of folks, right? But I'll speak to the tradition I enjoyed growing up in the Black church. There's a terminology for it if you ever went to seminary or maybe get some training in school. But it's that process you go through when a minister is kind of warming up. He's just getting y'all ready to go. And at the end, he's almost kind of like us. He's just riffing, right? And this is a term for it, but he's riffing. And the one that comes to mind for me was this brother. I think he's passed away since, but he was a minister at a church here in Austin. It was a Hope AME Church. I was about to say AME Baptist Church, but that's not possible. Anyhow, and he had, I'm pretty sure about 40% of his sermon consisted of this. You have to have rules and regulations. And like
rules and regulations.
And what's great about the black church, and many churches do this, but particularly the black church, they have a call and response, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he was saying, you got to have rules and what?
Regulation.
And then the other part I love is like, tap your neighbor and say, fill in the blank. Tap your neighbor and say, the Lord's been good to you.
The Lord's been good to you.
Very participatory, very engaging. And for me, I kind of laughed because it was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the things they would have us doing was just kind of, but it kept us engaged, outside of the choir, outside of, passing the plate around. It was this kind of engaging process of the sermon and the minister kind of using the energy of the room. And I love that. And sometimes it was funny. Like this guy, I swear, 40% of the sermon, everything leading up to that, he would start off says, 2 things came to me today in the night as I was preparing for today. And brothers and sisters, the words that came to me was rules and regulations. And I just didn't know that the whole sermon was going to be about rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations.
And what he was basically talking about was act right, because there's rules and regulations. And there's consequences if you don't follow the rules and regulations. I was like, all right.
I can get with that.
All right. Some good people there. And it was a small church. So I don't know if you've been to a small black church, but especially if they're older, they're looking for new members.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were friendly and hugging, and I never met any of these people.
Son, I'm so glad you came.
It's so good to see young people. I'm like, are we still young?
You're like, I'm feeling kind of old today.
But they were beautiful people. Old church has been in Central East Austin for years and years and years. And even though I didn't return, they did make me feel welcome. And
the rules and regulations didn't keep you?
No. I need a little more flavor. Yeah, we ended up going to a few other churches, but anyhow, that's my experience, tradition I grew up with that I kind of love. But hey, let's get to this Oprah situation. But I want to share the video with Oprah. Let me find it real quick. Here we go. And let me share the screen because I think she's going to give some really good context to the situation we find ourselves in today. All right. You see it there?
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Let me turn on the volume. I'm getting old, bro. I gotta make sure I got it right.
Got it right. Exactly.
And mean everywhere you go. It just feels like, is it in the drinking water? What has happened that people just will say anything to you, will treat you any kind of way? People are so mean. And I know that I'm not the person who's just feeling this. And a lot of people have expressed they were feeling it. That's why we're going to do a show and talk to a social psychologist about what is happening to us. I wanted to do the show because I know you.
What do you think? What do you think, brother? I mean, she makes a really good point. It seems like people just meaner and acting all extra and stuff.
Real extra. I've been thinking about this. And my firm answer is I don't know that people are meaner. I think we're all a lot more on edge. I think we're shorter with each other. Sure. And maybe I'm gonna go more existential. I'm like, at our heart, are people meaner and worse than they were? I was like, probably not. I was watching this documentary last night on the Nuremberg trials. I was like, that's beyond mean. I'm like, that's super hateful. So, I mean, I guess if that's my criteria, we all right. Um, but in a general sense, I'm like, I think we're less, if she means people are less civil, absolutely, 1,000% agree. Um, but are people meaner? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. What do you think?
Well, I was having a hard time with it because I was like, you know, I think about the civil rights movement. I think about women's suffrage. I think about all the things that immigrants and our Latino brothers
Mm-hmm.
and sisters have been through. I think about LGBTQ community and the abuse and mistreatment that we have been experiencing as long as our country has existed and pre-existed. And even when they were in Europe and it was just nothing but white folks, because whiteness didn't really exist, but they mistreat each other because of the tribes they came from, the religions they practiced, the serf system that they were a part of. I just the question I come up with is not so much are we meaner or not. What slice of life are we talking about? You talking about are we meaner than we were during the pandemic? Are we meaner than we were last year? Were we meaner than we were during the Biden administration versus the Trump administration?
Mm-hmm.
Because now I need a comparison set in context to understand. Because as far as I'm concerned, these MFers has been mean since I can remember. There hasn't been a time they weren't mean. And so I'm wondering what the ebb and flow and what precipitated this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because in there we didn't hear from the social psychologist that she was talking about, but I don't know. Maybe someone was rude to her and she was surprised by it. And
He like, I'm Oprah.
I'm
Do
open.
you know who I'm is? I'm Oprah.
He'd be like,
I'm worth billions of dollars. Should be treated with more respect.
He'd be like the new Rick James. I'm Oprah, bitch.
I think that might have been what it is. You know, I mean, it's like, so, yeah. I mean, and I love your point about context. Oprah's older than you and I, but not by that much. Um, there's a generational component, I think, to this question as well. Like I walk my neighborhood, I run in my neighborhood. It used to be whenever I passed black folks, I call it the black man hookup. It'd be like you get your acknowledgement. You know what I mean? No words passed, just and you keep it pushing.
Right.
These young kids, they don't understand. They look at me crazy. They turn to invert the look. I mean, I was like, and I used to think, okay, I'm like young girls. I'm like, I get it. But this like dudes, girls, anything in between. I'm like, wow. I'm like, and I'm like, they ain't mean, but y'all rude as all H. I'm like, come on, like, don't you understand what's supposed to happen here? I acknowledge you. You acknowledge me. Nope, nope. I don't see you. I see right through you. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But yeah, mean. I'm not feeling Oprah on the mean thing though.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I was thinking, I've moved a lot of places. I think I've shared with you. I lived in Texas, several different places in California, and I do remember. But you're young when you're younger. It's a little different. Maybe you acknowledge other young people. The adults you don't necessarily deal with. They kind of ignore you, especially in the black community. Like don't say nothing. Don't don't say nothing unless I say something to you, kind of thing, right? But by the time I got to college and I went to Prairie View, it felt like almost like overt, like it was extra, like everyone was like, hey, hey, hey.
Right.
And so I don't know if that's the case anymore. I get the sense that it's not the same. Yeah. I also know that the reason why I think many of us did do that or have done that in the past, because we were under the spotlight and we needed to support one another. And so you might be in a space and be the only person of color, and you like, hey, another one? Hey, what's up?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's because we just don't feel that sense of the necessity to do that, but I'm also mindful that, when we look at Gen Z, they say, now I don't know what the breakup is by race is, but they say Gen Z as a whole, when they ask them, do they trust people in general? Only 13% of people say they do.
Wow.
And so I don't know if there's a more distrust that's out there that might be contributing to this. I don't know.
It's interesting. One, I'm shocked by that statistic. I mean, that's like crazy to me. Like 13%. That's like all of y'all except for two people. But if you play that out, distrust, which I would say is maybe that's real. How does distrust then relate to, or does it relate to this sense of meanness?
I think it does to a certain degree. I think it at minimum, people who already have a mean streak or have some hateful things to say about people or whatever it may be, I think they're given license for a few reasons. One is this political climate gives people permission. I think there's a lot of things on whether it be social media or in television that kind of gives tacit kind of permission for people to behave a certain way because it's provocative and gets people attention and stuff like that. And so I think all of that, amongst other things, I think that, I'm always reminded that the U.S. by itself is a huge, huge country. It's hard to create a sense of connection and build trust quite in the same way as you might find in a smaller country. I mean, I was listening to something with Tallarico. He was talking about the change in Texas and how things are moving. It says the population of the entire state of Georgia can fit in Dallas or something like that. I forget if it was Dallas or Houston.
Wow.
Together. And so, so when you talk about Texas and it's changing and how slowly it's changing, it takes a lot of time. Then on top of that, you got the whole entire United States of America. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a challenge of, at least in this country, of how do we build that sense of that identity that brings us together? Because we all have a different definition of what it means to be American.
Yes.
And I think that's why we're having I'm not saying it's a bad struggle. I'm saying it's a struggle. Mm-hmm. And I think we're still trying to figure out what that is and what that means. But it doesn't help when you have a political establishment right now really kind of really getting their power from creating division unnecessarily.
Yeah. Yes.
And so,
well,
that's a hard one. And so I don't know if I totally agree with her. And also I remind myself, Oprah lives in a different world.
Preach.
I'm not mad at her. I'm happy for her. But
I'll take a donation.
Put it on the plate.
Put it on the plate, Oprah.
Put it on the plate.
Right.
Make a donation. We'll spread it. I'll make sure to give it back.
We'll spread it around the community. You know what I mean? We'll keep your dollars black for real.
We will FUBU that money for us and by us. But I wonder also of her own privilege. And I'm not saying she's totally disconnected, but she lives a bit in a world that's probably disconnected from like 95% of America, 95% of people. So maybe she's reflecting on that. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I think that was, I think that's a very valid point. I think her context is different as a, billionaire, media star, can't walk anywhere without being noticed and seen. So I think that's a very different context that she exists in. As you were talking, what I was thinking about was, I was like, if I walk down my street or I go to the grocery store, how often do I experience what I would consider meanness? And I'd say, honestly, it's exceedingly rare. I experience rudeness, I think, quite often.
Right.
But not meanness.
And it's small things, it's micro things. It's letting the door slam in front of you.
Exactly.
Like rude.
Cut me off in the car. Rude. Super rude. But just, people just flat out being mean. It's pretty rare.
I get the occasional middle finger. I like the people who Stop.
You shouldn't have cut him off.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I did something slightly illegal on the road, and they decided to stop on the side. It wasn't me. It was someone who looks very closely like
Close to me, right?
Yeah, it wasn't me personally, but
Right.
I heard the story.
I
And
heard.
they stop and they cuss him out. And my experience of those situations personally is not. I don't know that I should be doing this, but I feel like I need to give them feedback about their cussing because they don't use a lot of words. They just f this and f that, and I'm like, bruh, there's so many words out there, and you missing out. There's MF, there's B's, there's C's and F's and R's, and you missing out on all of them. What's wrong with you?
And I'm not really understanding what you're trying to say.
I mean, you could do better, is all I'm saying. You could do better.
Well,
if you're going to cuss somebody out, do it with affinity. Go watch some videos of Bernie Mac. He'll show you how to cuss.
Exactly. It's like,
well, hey.
For all the inflections of MF for black people, we know. You just got to put some different inflections in it. We know.
And put it before the subject and versus after, because it changes the whole meaning of the word.
Whole meaning.
Well, hey, I think this is great because I think this goes to the next topic, which is about good men not wanting to see themselves as bad. And this came out of another video we watched with Trevor Noah. So let me pull it up because Trevor, he's the man. He's not on Comedy Central no more, but he's still out there doing it. So let me see here. All right, here we go. Ready?
In a forest with a man or a bear.
You can throw food at a bear. You gotta throw pussy at a man.
You answer the question.
A bear.
A bear?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I know because the thing is, it's like a bear is not inherently dangerous unless it's hungry.
Okay, so let me ask you a question here. I'm glad you're here, Dulce. You're the only person I'll probably ask this to because you'll be honest. Could it be that men struggle with hearing that answer because as men, we don't see ourselves as a monolith?
No, men struggle with seeing that answer because men don't want to think they're the bad guy. So so here's the thing. Women are told to take self-defense classes.
Yes.
Don't dress provocatively.
Yes.
Don't be a whore.
Okay.
Carry a knife, carry pepper spray, carry all of these things. So you're telling me to do all of these things to make sure that I'm not assaulted or attacked.
Right.
But then if I get assaulted or attacked, you don't believe me. But you told me to do all of these things. And so if I'm being attacked, somebody's doing it. But we're never talking about we're not telling the attackers not to attack. We're telling the victim don't get attacked. So every man that heard that was just like, well, I would never. But every woman has either been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. So we're not doing it to each other. So how is it that no man has done it, but it has happened to every woman? So when men hear that, it's, well, I wouldn't do that. Because I was talking to Kabuka about this one time.
Right.
And Kabuka was like, it's crazy. He said, you don't think that your friend, he said, your friend that's talking to all the women, come to find out, he's raping everybody nobody knew.
That was a good impression of Kabuka.
Thank you. He's like, he's doing the thing. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing.
He's doing the thing.
Doing the thing.
And you don't know he's doing the thing. He's at the bar. He's talking to the ladies. You don't know. He's raping everybody. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like no man wants to think their friend is like that. No man there's men that have assaulted people. It's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. So if you as a man think that a woman would rather be with a wild animal in the forest than you, because here's my thing. I think all the men that got upset by that, there's always a saying that I would hear growing up, a kicked dog will holler. If I didn't kick you, you're fine. But if you felt like you got kicked, then you are somebody who has been harassing and terrorizing women. Point blank.
So much.
Rich.
But the part that really resonated with me is this idea that men, and particularly here, black men, don't want to see themselves as bad. And it's hard to think that we might know someone who's out there doing this stuff, whether it's harassing, assaulting women in any form or fashion. And that's hard for many of us to accept, especially if it's one of your good friends. And I think she makes a good point. Kick dog will holler. Mm-hmm. And but I was actually I feel affirmed by what she was saying
Say more.
because well affirmed in the sense of calling it out for what it is and the real danger that I think women are experiencing and speaking truth to power. And it was affirming to hear her, in her comedic way, talk about this real thing that's impacting, I think, all women, but particularly Black women, and why they feel the way they feel. And I'm disturbed by how men get really upset about hearing this kind of. I'd rather be with a wild animal, but like she said, I could throw meat at an animal, but man, I got to throw pussy. I'm like, whoa, woo.
That was funny, and it was like, whoa, right? But whoa in a good way, like truthful. You know, what I mean, it felt like, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth in what she's saying. And I look, I think men in general don't want to take responsibility for what they do themselves. And I know it's hard because nobody wants to be in a position of policing what your friends are doing. And we talked about this before, I mean, there is a responsibility on the part of good guys to speak to their brothers and be like, yo, man, what you doing? That's not cool. That's not kosher, And so, but I think, to her point though, there is something in our psyche that wants us to believe we're not that guy. We're not that guy, right? I haven't done that. I haven't, and because we think about it in the worst senses. Well, I haven't raped anybody. I haven't done this, that, or the other thing. But we all have walked down the street leering at that fine ass girl and probably hollered,
Yeah.
And it's like, is that's a part, I think, of what she was talking about, and yeah, some sisters, some women will be like, cool, they might appreciate, somebody hollering at them, but some don't, and you never know, right?
And then how is it done? I mean, there's right. A conversation that's generated. Hey, how you doing? My name. I saw you. I thought I wanted to talk with you. But even some people feel offended by that.
Exactly.
But a lot of the cat calling that people are concerned about isn't the tamer version we're talking about. It's the abusive language. It's the cussing people out. It's, oh, you don't want to talk to me because you think you're better than me. That right. kind of nonsense. And that's on the one side of the spectrum. Then you have the more serious stuff that people are dealing with. And so, I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier. There's a lot of good people out there who are, single, wanting to meet folks, and forget the single life. You just want to meet people, but they rather stay at home or go to work and not be out in the world because being out there feels dangerous because of all the things that she's talking about.
Yeah,
and it's sad, and it's I don't know, it's kind of heartbreaking. But it's the reality that I think many women and others are feeling around just the relationships we have with one another. And I guess my concern is this unwillingness to hear what she had to say and be like, I don't know what it's like for you, but I hear you. I'm going to take what you're saying for face value. I'm going to believe what you're saying. Yeah. Instead of getting to this whole back and forth about why she's not quite right. Or that's not how it is for everybody, and the exceptionalism that people, well, there's this other, and I'm like, and this is the hard part. What would it mean for brothers to be like, maybe I have done something that I'm not proud of. Maybe I've behaved in ways that have been concerning.
Yeah.
I know I've had friends who I've had to call out. I know in my younger years, there's things, I'll be honest, I was like, oof. And the question, about whether you knew better or not, it doesn't matter. I'm being told now.
Right.
And so it's like, all right, how do I behave better? So I think the challenge is that, okay, let's say you did you're willing to accept I behaved poorly or bad, or I really fucked up. one, that's not always easy to do, but it's a necessary step to
Yeah.
accept that I've behaved poorly. Now, what can I do differently?
Yes.
How can I behave in a way that doesn't reflect? Because now, if you're a dude who just don't give a crap, and you feel like women are second class, and they ain't about, there's not a lot of hope for you. But if you're the kind of brother who's like, well, that's not really aligned to how I see myself or what's important to me, then it's time to change my behavior to align with that. And I think that's the challenge. There's some people who just don't have a problem with this. They're like, women are, they're all the thing. I mean, you see in scripture where religious figures talked about women as being lower than dirt and all kinds of awful stuff.
Yeah.
So that's another issue, but I don't know.
Do you think this is a new thing, or is it old? And part of what I'm reflecting is we have this, because I can hear somebody watching this being like, "Oh, this is because of the manosphere stuff." You know what I mean? And my reaction would probably be like yours. This is as old as time. But I just wonder if you want to reflect on, or maybe it's just has the manosphere impacted this at all? Is it worsened, because we're living through this age, of the manosphere and trad wives and all that stuff?
Yeah, I guess for me, I feel like we've just come up with better terminology to describe things that have been in existence for a long time. I think a lot of folks are trying to reclaim some glory days of how it was or how it should be in their minds. And, I'll be honest, regardless of whether you're conservative, progressive, whatever, somewhere in the middle, I think what people are looking for, whatever they call it, they're looking for some sense of where they can belong, and they feel like they're aligned with the values and traditions that make them feel alive. There are women who like the idea of being a trad wife. They get to be a good mom. They get to take care of the home. They get to uplift their husband. They go to church and and they worship and they work out and they take care of themselves because this temple needs to be. I mean, what all those things that makes them feel a sense of like, this feels really, really good. And there's a whole nother group of people who are like, bunk that. I'm not doing none of that. Matter of fact, I don't even want any kids. And you know what? My husband, he needs to have more sense than that. And I'm not going to live that life. But I think that's the beauty, at least I have believed in the past, the beauty of living in the United States, that regardless if you're a trad wife or a trad husband or, stay-at-home boyfriend, you can do those things in the space of the freedoms that we enjoy. At least we supposedly enjoy.
Supposedly enjoy.
I don't know. It made me laugh, but also it had me thinking.
Yeah.
So sad that I'd rather be with a wild animal than a grown-ass man.
Right.
The state of our world.
And as unpredictable as wild animal. I mean, like even in the literal, as unpredictable as wild animals, a bear can be, that is still preferable. Because the nonsense that you believe or have experienced with men is so clear to you that you don't want no parts of it. I mean, I think that's a massive indictment of men's behavior.
Well, and think about it. When am I going to come across a wild bear? Almost never. I ain't going out in them woods looking for no bear action.
You out in Yosemite.
These ridiculous men are all over around me, and I can't get away from them.
They're everywhere.
I want to be with a damn bear. And you reverse the question and ask men, would you rather be with a wild bear or a woman? They're not going to express the same.
Absolutely not.
Disgust and disdain and fear or frustration or whatever you want to call it. They're going to be like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to be with that bear. Stinky ass, funky bear.
Right.
I don't know. You have any other thoughts about this, man? This is
my last thought on this is this. There's a piece of me that thinks part of this conversation is also, what is it that men and women want out of relations and connections?
Mm-hmm.
And to your earlier point about your t-shirt, how do you build trust? And I think she is alluding to or stating flat out, we got to work on building up. We as men have to work on building our trust quotient with women.
Yeah.
And that's how we speak to them. That's how we act with them, engage with them. And some of that is not everything that we are engaging with women around is focused on trying to get the cooch. Right?
Why you gotta say it like that? The cooch. You got me
I
tripped
didn't
up.
want to use the P word that she had used earlier. I thought that was like a little ruder. Like, now you like, man, you can't say the cooch on here. I'm like, it's like.
Yes. Basically, we can't be trying to always make everything about sex and trying to manipulate women and with the express interest in trying to have sex with them versus actually building a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And that's and unfortunately that's a real thing.
It's real.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to switch topics if you don't mind. And I want to get to these top 5 conspiracy theories because we just finished one. I'm almost finished is not the right word, but we just went through one that was specific to a particular time that was happening earlier this week, and this is related to the eclipse. Have you heard about this?
I have not. See, I told you I was gonna go over on this.
But it's all right. It's all right. But I wanted to cover the top 5 conspiracy theories. And now, mind you, these conspiracy theories are out the world. I'm going to focus on the ones that primarily have been focused on here in the United States. And so I was going to cover these 5, but I want to give my friend, Dr. Lawrence James, opportunity to come up with.
Oh, now you're going to get my name right. This is where I need you to get my name wrong. Like, so I can disown this.
So top 5.
All right. Got my thinking cap.
Conspiracy theories. And to me, they're hilarious, but that's just me. So, what would you think of maybe the top 5? What just when you're thinking about conspiracy theories, what do you think might be one of the top
5? Donald Trump won the election in 2020.
That's a really, really good try.
That's not 5.
Not top 5, because there's a lot of people who they're not even in the political space. They don't vote. They don't get involved in other politics. They apolitical. When I see that on a dating app or profile and it says apolitical, I say swipe left.
Swipe left. Yeah. Okay.
You can't be walking around talking about.
Yeah, all of mine are like political. I was like Hillary and the pizza, and the molesting kids thing.
Yeah, and that was crazy.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. The world is controlled by the Illuminati.
That's a pretty good one too, and I think it's probably closely related to probably multiple ones of the top 5, but not quite. But I'll give you one that that's kind of Illuminati related, and this has to do with the one that most recently happened.
Illuminati.
And this has to do with
Illuminati adjacent.
Yes, this has to do with gravity blackout. So during the eclipse that came recently, I believe Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. This happened in another part of the world, but eclipse hit and it went dark and all that stuff. Supposedly, this was on August 12th, so this was yesterday. Supposedly, what was supposed to happen was that gravity was supposed to basically be gone. Like there was gravity was going to go away on a certain part of the world where the eclipse was happening for 7 seconds. And the conspiracy is that NASA has long known about this astrological event because they believe that there was 2 black holes that were somehow interacting with the sun, the moon, and the earth to create the suspension of gravity in the place where there was the eclipse. And that was and that there was a project, the project they spent $86 billion on to prevent what was going to happen, and the project was called. You want to guess? Project Anchor. That's the conspiracy theory. That the government was involved with hiding the truth, that gravity was going to be eliminated during the eclipse for 7 seconds.
It didn't help my leaping. My dunking skills did not get any better in those seconds.
I was not.
Let me just say, my 49-inch vertical that I needed was not more than.
It's still the same, hadn't changed.
Yeah, it didn't change.
So okay. So I'm giving you another try. What's another possible conspiracy theory that might be the top 5?
I'm just gonna say this because I'm an asshole. But this is true, but people think it's conspiracy. Jesus was a black man.
Well, some people think it's conspiracy. I think it's the truth.
That's what I'm saying.
If not, he was definitely light-skinned. Well, I'm gonna give you this one. This one is birds are not real. Birds are not real because the government killed all the birds and replaced them with surveillance drones. And the reason why this is funny because there's apparently some guy named Peter Mckendoe, Mcnidoe, who was creating a parody conspiracy that there was all these fake birds monitoring all our behavior and the government somehow killed them all. But apparently there's some people who thought that conspiracy was actually true. Some birds and cardinals be looking at me through my window, and I was like, I knew that's why my Facebook knew what I was talking about, because in cardinals,
the cardinals, it had like a big old thing. Although, in the wilds of Africa and the Amazon, they do put little cameras in fake animals.
Yeah, and monitor
record stuff to monitor. So maybe. I mean, of course, they never move. So I think the flying bird thing. I mean, that's next level. That's
what next level. And we do have monitoring, like on our highways, we have cameras.
Right.
There's license plate readers. There are different parts of the country. Those are all legit, and they're not even conspiracies. These are things paid. They're on the budget.
I'm feeling skeptical about this one, KP. Feel a little skeptical. I'm not quite convinced.
Well, you want to have another guess?
My yard is spying.
You want another guess?
No, because I suck at this.
Say again?
I said no, because I suck at this. I'm already 0 for like 8.
Okay.
You've only gone through 2.
Here's the next one. Finland does not exist. As the conspiracy is that Finland was supposedly invented as a country created by Russia and Japan, so Japan could secretly fish the Baltic Sea.
So I know Finland exists because my friend has a friend at her house right now who's Swedish. And I learned this. The Swedes hate the Finns. So unless all of Sweden is delusional, and hatred can make you delusional, so I take it back. It's real. Because all the Swedes hate all of Finland.
They gotta hate somebody. You can't just hate nobody.
You can't hate nobody. So they hate the Finns. And they say that the Finns, that they identify the Finns because they supposedly have Asiatic eyes. So it's also a little racialized hatred.
It sounds like
it as well.
They're not white enough.
They clearly they are not.
Because white people can't have Asian features.
No, they cannot.
It's not possible.
So there you go. So
this one
is an illusion.
This one, I'm pretty sure if he had spent a little time thinking about it, he would have come up with it eventually. And this is the conspiracy of the flat Earth. Because Earth is flat, gravity isn't actually gravity, and NASA and essentially the entire global scientific establishment are participating in a gigantic cover-up. Astronauts are lying. Photographic evidence of the Earth is fabricated. Earth is flat.
Okay.
I have a hard time
You
with
know
it.
this.
Because, we got some basketball players and some other people who are like flat Earth people.
Yeah. I thought I had something witty to say on that, and I don't.
Well, I'll give you one more, and then we could kind of wrap this up a little bit. Last one is related to the super collider that's being built, and there's people believe, it's real people who believe this, that people from the future have come back in the future, come back to our present time. And they're not just here saying, hey, make sure, watch out for the future. They're intentionally sabotaging this CERN. I forget what the acronym stands for, CERN. It's a particle collider. And they're sabotaging it because in the future, this particle collider will destroy the Earth. And so they've come back in time, kind of like, Terminator. They come back in time to destroy this collider to help it fail, and because there's been delays in construction and they haven't been able to complete it, and they think it's these people from the future who are sabotaging it because they want to save the Earth sometime in the future. So we got time travelers here, bro.
More important than that, anything else is like we got time travelers. Yes.
And what's so funny about these conspiracies? I'm sorry.
I think J.D. Vance actually believes that.
Nah, man.
I'm being serious. That wasn't a joke. That was like I saw some stuff the other day that JD, when the government released all of its information about
aliens, yeah.
Yeah, JD was all up on it. He was like, "Yeah, we seen the aliens. They for real." So like him and Steven Spielberg, they got some ET phone home.
And this is my problem with conspiracy theories. And and I'll be honest, I've been open to conspiracy theories because some of the first conspiracy theories that were out there impacted Black folks and women.
Yes.
And so when this whole Tuskegee experiment thing came up years and years, decades ago, that felt a little bit initially like a conspiracy theory because they didn't have the evidence to support it.
They didn't have the data.
Right? But then as time went, because what was happening was that people who had gone through the experiment and survived were going and telling people what happened to them. And they're like, why would the government do something like that? That doesn't even make any sense. All y'all just making stuff up. Sounds like you were, captured by some aliens. And then you find out it was true.
It was true.
and so I get conspiracy theories and the role they play, but I'll say now I feel like there's this. I don't know. Again, Becca, I don't know if it's more than before or not, but it feels like it's more than before. But I was watching a video and they're talking about how there's some people who adopt conspiracy theories, some out of laziness, some out of wanting to acquire power, influence, and because to be a subject matter expert in anything that takes time, energy, study, resources. And for a lot of people, they don't want or care to do that because they feel like, hey, I'm smart, I'm a good guy, I know how to do research online, and from my experience and from my research, I found out that Tylenol actually causes autism.
Right.
And instead of becoming a real subject matter expert and going to school and listening to doctors and all that kind of stuff and reading the journal articles, I'm going to go through my process. I think it's just as valid and important.
Right.
And so by doing that, I get to grab some of the power back because I think doctors, the establishment, government, those experts have been leading us wrong for a long time. And so I'm going to go out there. And there's something to that because I think we've built enough distrust of institutions for good reason, like Tuskegee Institute experiment. But I think there's been other situations that it's kind of bonkers. But what it's really about is about garnering power and influence. Yeah. RFK Jr. is a great experience. That bruh knows nothing about science, but he gets to speak on all things because he is now the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And the man knows nothing, but he's used his influence, his money, his bully pulpit,
right,
to talk about Tylenol causing autism. We're going to change the vaccine regimen for children and cause confusion.
Lots. But I think you're talking about. I mean, you're onto something though. I mean, the underlying piece of this that is probably more interesting to me than the conspiracy theories per se is, the fear and lack of trust that people, I would argue, are experiencing that then leads to sort of the susceptibility of any conspiracy. And no matter how, some are benign, but many are super far-fetched, and that you're buying into it. And so, I think, that high factor of distrust be interesting, given what you said earlier about, is it Gen Z, millennials, whatever,
Gen Z, yeah.
Gen Z, 13%, rate of trust. I wonder if they believe more than other generations in conspiracies.
That's a good question. I would love to see.
I mean, if we're onto something about like at least distrust being a part of susceptibility to conspiracies, you would think that generation would have higher rates of sort of belief generally in conspiracies, as we would say.
Yeah, I would guess. My guess is that it's what do they distrust, right? Is it people? Is it government? Is it doctors? Whatever. Where are there areas of distrust happening, right? And then how is their distrust somehow connected to their belief in certain conspiracy theories? Because I think some people are susceptible to certain kinds of conspiracy theories.
Yes.
There's health ones. There's government. There's the aliens. Like I have a friend. If it's alien related, they're like, "Yeah, it's bull." But if somehow you talk about Candace Owens having something to say about the French Prime Minister's wife being trans, they're like all on it. Well, it could be. I need to come up with a better way to deal with people who really believe in these ridiculous conspiracy theories, because I might stop having friends.
Right? I was thinking that the other day. Like, I was like, I'm having conversations with people, especially, including professionally, and people say stuff, and I'm like, Lawrence, Dr. James, your role isn't to tell them that conspiracy theory is wrong. It's a sidebar comment. It's not even, but I'm chomping at it. I'm like, that shit's crazy what you talking about. I'm like, that don't make no sense. And I'm like, bite your tongue, bite your tongue, bite your tongue. So it feels more prevalent than it used to be, but maybe that's because, maybe we also live in an internet age where,
there's all kinds of stuff out there.
There's all kinds of stuff out there, but you're hearing more of what people are thinking, where you didn't have venues necessarily to hear it before.
Chat rooms committed to
chat rooms. Yeah, I hear people saying some crazy stuff. That's the only reason I sort of know about the Illuminati, because I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I mean,
and I don't know if Illuminati exists or not. All I want is, could you help me out?
Like Oprah. I'm supposed to be in the Illuminati, by the way. Oprah and Beyonce are in the
Yes. I mean, if it makes them feel good.
So maybe that's what it is. You see, that's where the meanness is coming from. The Illuminati is mean.
The Illuminati, they being mean to each other. You know how
they fall out. Yeah, there's a falling out in the Illuminati.
Kanye was probably
Bezos Illuminati. His money, right? Kanye
messed up and said some messed up stuff. But you know what my favorite conspiracy theory is?
What?
I'm being facetious, but it's the one during COVID. I remember this brother came up to me and he wanted to testify to me, kind of like me in church, and he wanted to tell me where COVID came from. He told me COVID came from 5G, because 5G.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, that one. And then and the COVID was in the mitochondrion, which is the powerhouse of the cell, which we all remember. That's still That's still my favorite.
It's in the 5G. That's how they got
It was in the mitochondrion. The mitochondrion, bruh.
you. Okay. Of the 5G.
The 5G is activated.
That's that's kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy.
That's all I got. That's all I got. I'm like, that's kind of crazy.
You generous, brother. You being real nice.
Yeah, you know, I think my reality check meter is just way too high to get down with the conspiracy stuff. I'm like, I'd like to, I mean, there's a part of me that'd be like, it'd be kind of dope to be a part of the, the conspiracy clan. I mean, but it falls apart so quickly for me. I'm like, yeah, that's stupid.
Well, this is what I'm thinking. If the conspiracy theory groups have like donuts and bagels like for breakfast, and like maybe we could have lunch and have free pizza. I don't know. There's a part of me that's like I might just show up.
Right.
I don't have to cook if they bring me dinner, and we can just hang out.
That might be a winning argument for the conspiracies.
I mean, I think it's conspiracy theory.
Of course, they kidnapping the kids though in the back of the pizza parlor, so we can't be pizza.
Why you gotta bring that? I think it's a conspiracy theory that anyone thinks the Dallas Cowboys are gonna win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right, exactly, because that's just purely stupidity. I thought that.
But hey, we got one more thing, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Our side eye for today. Today's side eye is about the reflecting pool. Our wonderful, illustrious, high Hitler leader Donald Trump is so stuck on believing because one of his cabinet members, Secretary of Transportation or something, I forget, it's told him that the people came in with knives, destroying the lining of the reflecting pool because he wanted it to be blue because they repainted the pool so it could be a pristine blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so he hired one of his homeboys with a no-bid multi-million-dollar contract, which was his homeboy who did his pool back in Mar-a-Lago. And if you saw the dude, you'd be like, this is a joke, right? I mean, he got the comb over and he's Billy Bob Thornton looking ass. And, that has nothing to do with anything. But, when you see these guys who are like associated with Trump, you want them to be like normal people, like just average, mildly attractive, but not really attractive, but not really ugly. Just average, right?
Yeah. No,
it's these like characters from like a superhero movie with like Dogface McCannon or chimpanzee's face or chimpanzee's smile or these weird ass names.
Isn't that basically what Mar-a-Lago face is?
I mean, yeah. I was gonna say I hate to admit it, but no, I don't. But yeah, it is. But and so this dude gets his multi-million-dollar contract. Then before they finished, they lined the pool, right? And then Trump came out there with his vehicle, his cars, and they drove on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they filled it back up. And then it got not mold, but algae and all kinds of stuff in it. And then they arrested homeboy, the former Olympian, who apparently has a history of volunteering to help environmental causes.
Yes.
The hell, bro? And now they charge him. And then the Bureau, the U.S. What's her title?
District. She's a U.S. attorney for I think the District of Columbia.
Yes, she had to be like, because she mad at the other guy on Trump's cabinet, who basically she thinks he's lying.
Mm-hmm.
But Trump is like, I think there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And Puro, who has been a staunch Trump supporter from when her days back on Fox News, she had to be like, nah, this didn't happen.
Right.
I'll be honest, I didn't think she was gonna come out so strong, but maybe there's a little hope in the world.
No, not with these foolish people. You see, you're back to being generous again. Stop it. Stop it. No, it was crazy because she came out and was basically like in court though. I mean, first of all, she brought these charges.
Yes.
So I can't give her too much credit. You brought these stupid charges. You went to court and they were like, yeah, no,
Here's the evidence.
right here, and the judge is like, "This some BS. Throw this out," you know. And then it's just like, "Oh yeah, we have evidence that he didn't do anything." The worst part of this, KP, though, is they've gone to court. She has basically dropped the charges. The judge was like, "This is some BS. Drop the charges." Yada yada yada. They are still going after this man.
Yes.
They're trying to figure out, not through Jeanine Pirro, somewhere else in the feds to go after him. And even Trump has admitted that the stuff is, the reflecting pool plaster or whatever is peeling off. He's admitted this. And they're still going after David Hearn, making his life miserable. So it's not over. And I think that's one of the things that I think is very real in Trump world, which is nothing's ever really over.
No,
Obama's still not American. You know, Biden is still the root of all evil, and why the economy is shit. It's lie, obfuscate, cheat, never admit, and it's shameful and it's harmful.
Painful and harmful.
And it's like and again, the crazy part is this guy, in some respects, not that I think any Olympian is an American hero. I think that's just stupid personally, but whatever. The guy was quote unquote, an American hero, having represented the United States in the Olympics. And you're not prosecuting him, you are persecuting him.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is an agenda that many a billionaire and even large companies have done. That even if they don't really have a real case or a real justification, they go through the process of suing, indicting people because of the financial, emotional, political upheaval they have to go through to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And so I hope the folks like Fauci, Comey, and others, who I personally don't believe have done anything wrong or illegal, but they're being prosecuted because of personal vendetta of our, highest office of the land, and they're causing harm to people's lives. And so you have this, and I think what's different here is you have this. He's an Olympian, but he's just a regular guy. Who did some exceptional things, and he's older. He's retired almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the power of the government going after this man because he was curious out of his own personal concern about how could they fix this problem.
That's right. Well, and I mean, I was listening to him talking the other day. Part of the reason that he went down there is because his business was waterproofing.
Yes.
The guy was looking at it because he was interested, because he's like, how did they do this? Because I've been in the waterproofing business for 20 or 30 years, and I was interested and intrigued, And let's be real clear. Even if he had pulled up a piece of the polyethylene,
right,
the effing government should have way better things to do than this. It's a misdemeanor at best.
At best.
Give him his $500 fine and keep it moving.
Yeah, keep it stepping.
And like maybe go fix the damn economy. Or stop the stupid war that you've started. Like, how about we go and invest in those things that actually might make Americans' lives better? Because trust me, this dude ain't doing nothing that is making us particularly unsafe as a nation.
No, even if he was doing it, it's like, all right, he messed with the water. Okay, I mean, who hurt?
He the one who got algae on him and probably got like ptomaine and shit. His hand falling off.
Gangrene. With a hand.
Gangrene, right? He's like, you got real gangrene. He's like, I'm like, yeah, you got your just desserts. I'm like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Well, and that's the conspiracy theory to a certain degree. Like all of this is just a distraction from what he's really achieving or his people are achieving within the government. And so here we are,
going to pilfering over here, right? You talking over here and pilfering over there. You're $2.2 billion. Like we see what you're doing.
Well,
and by the way,
no one
that's
thought
not conspiracy. That's fact.
No one thought he was a billionaire really until he got into office again, and we all know he's a billionaire because of his own records show that he.
Exactly his graft his graft is great. You know.
Well, you know, his the former heart surgeon, cardiologist for the former vice president for during the Bush years. What's his name? You're better at this than I am. He was the vice president under George Bush #2.
Dan Quayle.
Yeah, no, not Dan Quayle. That was Bush 1, Bush 2.
Bush 2, Doyle.
Balding head. He was from up north. His daughter was a senator.
Dick
Cheney. Yes, thank you. So I was like never gonna come up with that. Anyhow, his former cardiologist has been coming out. He has an op-ed out saying the president is sick. He got bruises on his hands. His ankle is swollen. He's falling asleep at meetings. He said these are all the characteristics of someone with a major health issues. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man. But, you know, maybe that's conspiracy theory, too.
That's what they said. Well, the other one, I forgot the other one I had.
Oh, what's that one?
It was the dude who shot Trump was like a CIA mole or something like that. And it didn't really happen. Oh, and by the way, the guy who got killed, supposedly his wife believes that this was she believed in a conspiracy theory that it was a setup.
Are you talking about Kirk?
No. The when he got his ear shot.
Oh, the ear shot.
The little chunk of ear that never seemed to ever.
No scar tissue at all.
At all. No. See, we might be able to get with that conspiracy. Like,
that's the thing, right? When does it stop being a conspiracy theory and be like, wait a minute, that might be true? Well, hey, man, we'll wrap this up. We went over a little bit, but I appreciate you, brother. We had a good conversation. I hope you enjoyed that, the top 5 conspiracy theories.
Etched in my brain.
Yeah, I had a hard time just even reading was the gravity thing. I was like, what?
Yeah. I'm mad about them 7 seconds though.
Like for 7 seconds. Okay.
Right.
7 whole seconds.
Just that right when I gotta be jumping right at that 7 seconds. Like, woo.
Well, hey brother, it's good to see you. This is Riff of Our Black. Kazika Prince, my brother, Dr. Lawrence James. It's good to see you, brother. And I'll see you next time, all right?
Be well, bro.
All right, man.
Peace.